Hello, welcome to another video. So this is continuing my year by year challenge. I have finally gotten 1901 done. This one is a little different and weird, so let me explain. This is actually a German house, and I cannot be certain that it is from 1901, but the book that it was in, I found it on archive.org. It had floor plans from 1901, 1907, and some other year. And they didn't label which ones were which ones came from which year. So I'm just going to assume that this one is 1901 since it's the cover of the book. Hence why there is a color version and a non-color version. I mainly chose this one because it had the color version, and that helps me a lot in basing what the actual appearance of the house looks like. When it's in black and white, it's so hard to know what color scheme they went with, especially when it's from another country. So it was a pain, a real pain to get a 1901 house. For some reason, that year specifically is just so difficult. So archive.org is a huge help for me, and this was kind of the only one that was actually feasible to make, so it's a little odd. I ended up using cutting boards to give this detail around the house that was in the photos, and I flipped the color scheme simply because the colors that we get in The Sims, they just didn't quite work, like with the windows and such, and I had a lot of back and forth with the windows. This house doesn't have much windows. Each room pretty much has one window, which is kind of strange because when I was doing a little bit of research in how I could design this house on the inside, something that came up was that apparently Germans have to air out their houses a lot, so they have to have quite a few windows, I would think, in order to do that because of the moisture that houses tend to accumulate. I also found out that they used radiators a lot, so I put radiators in this house. There's a few things. I tried to make it as accurate as I could to German housing at the time. So I did use a lot of reference photos for the rooms and such, and it's apparently there was some, I didn't look at who it was. I'm a terrible researcher apparently, but there was a photographer who had documented these slums of Berlin in 1900. So, close enough. 1901 didn't change that much in style, but that helped a lot in getting an idea of what a more realistic appearance of a German house from this time would have looked like. A lot of times in photos, it was only of wealthy houses because not everyone had enough money to pay for a photographer or let alone have a camera. So it's interesting to see, or it's really useful to see like a slum type of house. It doesn't look like a slum to me, but I guess it was technically. They just looked like lower income working class family houses. So that's kind of the direction I wanted to go for this, even though it is kind of a nicer surrounding. I think with it actually having a floor plan that somebody drew out and everything and included in a book, this probably would have been for a more wealthy person, but it's boring to keep doing the same kind of very nice looking houses. So I wanted it a little bit more realistic. And I know having marble floors in the kitchen is maybe not indicative of that, but this is the type of tiling that was common at the time. And unfortunately, in The Sims 4, this is kind of the only way to get it is with like the most expensive marble flooring. So whatever, that's what we got. I'm not so certain is a hard word for me to say. I'm not so certain that they would have had electric lights going around. To be honest, didn't look into that, but for the purposes of this game, I included it. And, I like using these little light bulbs. I feel like they look vintage when they're sized down, but that's just me. That's just my opinion. And the rest of this is pretty much based off of one sole picture that I found of a living room. So it seemed like floral wallpaper was very popular at the time, mostly the kind that you would match to everything. And I think that's kind of a very widespread Western trend of the time, is to have matching wallpaper with your curtains, with your couch, with everything. So obviously we don't have that in The Sims 4, so I just went with floral and eventually some floral-ish curtains. Another thing that apparently German houses have predominantly is wardrobes throughout the house in order for storage. They didn't actually have closets. That's not a very common thing. But in this floor plan, it does seem like they had closets. Now, I don't speak German, but it's not even labeled. So it looks like a closet to me. It could have just been maybe a utility closet. I have no idea. But you will see there are some closet-ish spaces that I kind of faked out in this house. I also did go with that same trend again of not really over decorating as much as I like to, but in the photos that I saw, I did kind of copy how they decorated the walls, how they would put photos up in kind of little tiny frames and a lot of mirrors, and not perfect, you know, like just little photos kind of here and there wherever they felt like it. That seemed to be the trend at the time. This video did come out to be super short, which is kind of nice because I wasn't like crazy enthused about this one, just because it seems really basic. And of course it's not any, I don't know, it's not like a style that people are familiar with. You know, you might not want this house in your game, and I completely understand that because it's kind of just a box. But this is 1901, so I don't know. If anybody from Germany has seen houses like this, when I was looking at, like, I'll put the link of the archive.org, the book that I took this from. It's free to look at, so don't worry. The houses in this book I have never seen before. They look so random, and they look like they're made out of concrete or something. So it could have been a specific type of house that this book was going for that maybe wasn't popular at the time. I don't know. Again, not German. How many times do I have to say that? I don't have to say it anymore. I can stop saying it. Okay. This video is almost over. As you can tell, I haven't done this for a couple weeks. It's been a crazy couple weeks, and I've not had the best time. So yeah, coming back to this video, I'm kind of like, okay, let's just get this over with. Let's get 1901 done. I can move on to 1902, and I have one for 1902. I think so. Other than that, I'm extremely excited to get to the 1920s and the 1930s. I recently bought a book of floor plans for the 1920s that I am stupid excited for. It's so good, and it has like a lot of pictures of interiors of homes from the 1920s. Or actually, no, it was 1930s. Sorry, it's 1936. But I'm so excited for it. Also, really love how this bathroom came out. This doesn't quite look like, you know, that slum type of low-income house bathroom, but I really like how it came out. I like the color scheme, and I think it does look very 1900s. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this house. Sorry if I talked extremely fast. I got a little nervous with such a short video. I also keep having issues saying my S's, so that's a problem. Screenshots are about to come up. I really hope you enjoyed this house. I hope you're having a nice day, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.